Well, thank you everyone for joining us here today for this presentation on cost-effective design strategies to build on budget. Now, did you know that around 70% of custom home designs never actually get built? That is a staggering figure and a reflection of just how tough it can be to align great custom design with a realistic budget. The result, if you don't get this right, is wasted time, money, and a whole lot of heartache. And that's what today's presentation is here to help you avoid. So over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to share with you 4 practical, cost-effective design strategies that will give your project the best chance of success. And I do really hope you find these useful and you're able to avoid the heartache of when things go wrong. So for those that don't know me, my name is Simon Clark and I'm the Director at Sustainable Homes Melbourne. And I'm also proud to serve as Chair of the Sustainable Builders Alliance. I've been in the construction industry for over 25 years and I've run SHM for the past 12 of those years. And I have seen just how much the industry has changed in recent times and how critical it is to adapt the way we approach designing and building homes. Also joining me today is the lovely Nisha Patel, SHM's design and client consultant, and she's here to assist with any questions or tech support that we may need.
Hi, everyone.
So before we dive in, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we live, work, and build, and pay my respects to those past, present, and emerging. Well, it is lovely to be back. We received a great response to our webinar in March, which was presented on construction costs in Australia and where they are headed. If you did miss that, it is still on YouTube, and we will share a link to that after this presentation. It is a really good prequel to what we're going to talk about today, which is, of course, cost-effective design strategies to build on budget. A quick bit of housekeeping. The presentation today, as I said, will go for about 30 minutes, and we do have a little something special for those that are ready to get started on your design and build journey, and I'll share that with you at the end of this presentation. We'll also wrap up with a Q&A, and please use the Q&A section down below, not the chat. The chat makes it very difficult for Nisha to manage the question. So if you want a question answered, use the Q&A box down the bottom right, it should be, or in the center. And a recording of this presentation will be shared with everybody afterwards. But before we kick off, a quick poll. What stage are you at in your design and build journey? Are you A, just starting out? Are you B, working with an architect or designer in the early stages? Are you in planning or design documentation? Are you D, ready to build but reviewing costs? Or E, none of the above? And we'll give that a few moments. Nisha will give us an update on that. And I'll get prepared to share my screen.
Cool. So it looks like the majority of people are just starting out, and we've got a couple working with an architect or a designer in the early stages, and then a couple more with none of the above.
Cool. Well, this presentation will certainly help those that are just getting started, set them up well. But at any stage of the design journey, I think there's a lot of value here for you. So I hope you do get a lot of benefit from it. So let's go. Cost-effective design strategies to build on budget. Yes, and as you might already know, I believe is a really valuable topic for those people looking to build custom, and one that I hope you get a lot of benefit out of. So why budget blowouts occur? So most projects don't go over budget because people are careless. The difficulty within the construction industry is that it is so big and it is always evolving and there are so many variables. I do recall when I was studying for my builder's license in the early noughties, the lecturer would tirelessly say, if you know just 1% of the construction industry, you're doing well. We used to have a laugh and think he was kidding himself. Though as time goes by, I'm starting to think he may have been right. So typical reasons why budget blowouts occur are that the design wasn't aligned with the budget early. Now, I encourage anyone that is looking to build to be clear and upfront about your budget. This will give your design and construction team the best shot at making your dream sustainable home a reality. If you're not clear on your budget, your team is flying blind. Number two is material selections and scopes of work were determined too late. So no two homes or sites are the same, and the materials and finishes you select can play a huge role in the end costs of your home. And particularly if you're renovating or extending, it's important to clarify the scope of work early to avoid nasty surprises further down the track. Or three, complexity crept in unnoticed. Now, to avoid this, you must work with a design and construct team or engage a builder early to work alongside your design team to consult on the budget as your design evolves. Nobody understands design complexity and construction costs more than an experienced builder with boots on the ground. So the biggest investment of your life, it must be well planned with the right people and experts working toward an agreed goal. If you take just one thing away from this webinar, make this it and get your team right, and your project will have a far greater chance of success. So before we move into our 4 strategies, I want to clarify that cost effective doesn't mean cheap or low quality. Now, I'm sure anyone attending or watching this presentation wants to find the balance between quality and cost. And what I think this translates to is quality at a fair price. And this is where it can get difficult for a homeowner to determine the exact level of quality they are looking for and whether their budget is aligned to that level of quality. And I do encourage anyone looking to build to stick with this old adage, which is the good, fast, and cheap rule. You can choose two, but you can't have all three. Now, you can have cheap and fast, but it won't be good. You can have good and cheap, but it won't be fast. And you can have fast and good, but it won't be cheap. I recommend using this old adage as your guiding philosophy while you navigate the world that is building and renovating. I'll now talk you through the 4 cost-effective design strategies to build on budget and get the best bang for your buck. So strategy number 1 is keep it simple. A quick disclaimer here is that everything within this presentation is nuanced. There are times when cost-effective design does go out the window, often for very good reason. However, that should be an informed judgment call made by you, the homeowner, in consultation with your design and construction team. And I've got a really good example where this strategy of keep it simple went completely out the window, and I'll show you later on why. But firstly, let's focus on keeping things simple and cost effective. So taking a look at these couple of images of a recent heritage terrace home that we renovated and extended. This is one of 2 that we completed side by side. It was a fantastic project in the heart of Fitzroy. These homes are both carbon negative, which is a good thing. But observing these 2 images, you can see one large open room here on the right, which is generally sensible. But in terrace homes like this, there is no lateral bracing, which can mean cost increases due to steel and engineering. In respect to this, we do have the one lateral wall here on the right, which is ultimately doing 2 things. It's providing some degree of lateral support, while also being a bookend to this joinery in our kitchen, rather than an expensive veneer or laminate finish. You can see this roof form from outside to inside is the same. This is often an item that we would value manage in or out. And in these scenarios, our estimating and design teams work together to explore the options and costs associated so our clients can make an informed decision. In this case, a more cost-effective approach would have been a lower ceiling here, but you can imagine how much it would detract from this beautiful space that it is, and this recycled messmate lined ceiling just wouldn't have given the project that finish that the client was looking for. And if you do have good eyes, you may be able to see our kitchen benchtop, splashback, and little shelf there is all stainless steel. Now, at first glance, stainless steel is an expensive product, though it lasts forever and it avoids grout lines and makes cleaning an absolute breeze. So, over the lifetime of a product, I'm sure it is a very cost effective solution, especially compared to a tiled splashback. So, there is also that equation to consider, that's cost outlay today opposed to lifetime value. Here you can see a floor plan of one of our recent designs. It's very, very simple form, just about as simple as it gets. A box on the back of an existing home. Now, to be clear here, we're not talking about solar passive design in this example. Unfortunately, the property faces north, north to the front. So in this case, we've not been able to open up to the north at all. I must say, walking through this home with our photographer the other day, she did mention that every room has some beautiful natural light coming from it. So the design team has weaved a bit of magic there. But some things this design does well are, as much as we've placed a box on the back of the existing home, we have been able to divide the spaces into specific zones. Now, for anyone that has lived in it, imagining this was just a big open box, especially with kids, you'd understand that the noise just bounces off each wall and it can be a terribly noisy space. Open plan is great, but not full open plan. Some division and zoning creates purposeful spaces and minimizes the conflict between zones. For example, you could be having a dinner party in your dining and kitchen area and shut off these doors, and the living zone's a much quieter space. This is the same design, and what we're looking at here really is how our extension meets the existing home. Now, it's really important. You can see here that we've got this lower roof section, which the idea is that it slips under our existing roof. Therefore, we're not disrupting the existing roof. And this can save thousands of dollars. Of course, understanding if you do intend to replace your existing roof, it isn't so critical. Here's another simple extension. In this property, we do have better orientation, so we were able to open up to the north much more easily. I'll show you how we did that in a moment. But again, we have this lower roof section connecting to the existing building. Our hallway's 2.4 meters high, same with our bathroom area. And we open up in here to nearly 4 meters. You see this large pergola at the rear on the western side that protects our dining and living zones from that harsh western sun. And you also see this layout and the other is that our kitchen is abutting the laundry. Now, we believe this to be a great solution to modern living, with kitchens being the heart of the home and laundries being the best place to deal with any mess and utility. And this can keep your kitchen clean while you deal with mess inside the enclosed laundry. This is our view from the west. Our north is to the left-hand side. You can see we have this skillion roof angling up to the north. We have these clerestory windows which welcome in the winter sun, though a large eave overhang which keeps the summer sun out. And this is just about as simple as it gets. Very simple form, which also welcomes in the northern aspect. And so that is our keep it simple strategy. These are tried and tested methods to keep things simple, and you hardly ever need to compromise on quality or comfort. Strategy number 2 is reduce the footprint. So let's start off with a home that breaks just about all the rules when it comes to cost-effective design. This is one of our designs, and it is a solution for the most challenging side orientation with north to the front. This home has prioritized passive solar design over cost-effective design. You can see we kept the front 5 rooms while reconfiguring the master bedroom and also this room behind to accommodate our bathroom, ensuite, and 2 powder rooms there. Then we designed this pavilion at the rear, which is connected by this long hallway and second living and laundry coming off it. Ultimately, this opens up our living zones to the northern aspect on each side and also creates this beautiful internal courtyard, which the clients have also installed a pool within. So this is a very unique design and it is not a cost-effective way to build for many reasons. Though if you can afford it, it can make for quite an exceptional home on many fronts. For cost-effective design though, some reasons not to build like this is that this design makes the footprint of the home larger than it needs to be, represented by this long hallway running from the front of the home all the way to the rear. Now, any good designer knows that hallways are wasted spaces and to try and avoid these as much as practical, which we weren't able to do in this scenario. This design also has a really large external wall area. As you can see here, the ins and outs. And ultimately, external walls are the more expensive wall to build, roof, and clad, as well as adding a whole heap of complexity to the form, particularly the roof and engineering. And put simply, complexity equals costs. What this design does well is the home is zoned really well. You can see we have our private zone at the front, our hallway zone with our second living and laundry, and also access to the courtyard off it. So you can jump straight into the pool from these bedrooms. And then we have our main living zone at the back there. Each of these zones are sealed off. There's a bit large sliding door there and double sliding doors here to keep moderate temperatures within each zone. You can see all our wet areas located in this area works really well. Our kitchen being way over here does not. The rumpus study is a great multi-purpose room serving many different purposes. Of course, second living, kids study zone was the original intention, and it can also triple as a guest bedroom. But most importantly, this design suits the family we designed and built it for. We get so many clients that get hung up on resale, and my advice is to forget about it and build for you, especially if you plan to live in the home for 10, 20, 30 years or more. I think living in Australia, we all know our house prices will go up anyway. Moving along, this is a much simpler design and is a better example of reducing the footprint or even reducing the volume as well, which we were able to do in this scenario by reducing some ceiling heights. So in this case, we do have north to the rear. Again, we kept the front 4 rooms, though this room here we divided and made into our powder room, bathroom, and laundry. Then we have the stairs leading up to a master suite above. And what we did here, the existing home had ceiling heights over 3 meters, but we lowered them in this area to 2.4. And what that did was 2 things. It kept us below the building envelope, so we didn't require a planning permit. And of course, it also helps with costs. You can see we have this multi-purpose room again which would be a second living or breakout space for their 2 rambunctious boys. And it can also be a guest bedroom. And the other thing we did here, you can see this is a window seat. We moved that though to the end of this hallway facing north. And this is a lovely perspective as you walk through the home, down this hallway, you get this lovely view through this large window of the garden. And also a window seat is basically a human-sized room that can feel like a completely separate zone to the areas around it. You can turn a hallway into a quiet spot to read, relax, and soak up the sun. And this is our view from the north. We attached a simple skillion roof extension on the rear. It has one roof pitch falling in one direction with our rainwater tanks down the side here, and has one big open room. Very simple, yet very effective for this family. And so that is our strategy of minimizing the footprint. It is very obvious, though often overlooked. And I hope these couple of examples have shown you what to do and what not to do. And of course, it is very nuanced and it's your call where your money is best spent. So strategy number 3 is specify smarter. So here's a quick crash course on Material and scope of work selection. So, A, choose durable and low maintenance building materials. So we all live busy lives, busier now than ever, generally, and the cost of maintenance adds up very quickly. And therefore, when you choose building material for your home, you should consider maintenance and upkeep costs. At SHM, we love using building materials that are durable, such as bricks, recycled or low carbon, of course, corrugated iron, colorbond roofing or cladding. It is quintessentially Australian and extremely low maintenance. Or Australian hardwoods, often the more expensive of these three, but people love it. Of course, hardwood does require maintenance unless you do allow it to silver off over time. And especially consider low or no maintenance materials to any hard to reach places, for example, first floors or anywhere that you may need a ladder for access. B is skip costly customized details. Now, again, at SHM, we are lovers of design, all things design. So we attract a lot of like-minded people and we do love it. Though over the years, we've learned a key lesson, that is to not to try and reinvent the wheel. So take this real world example from way back in 2018. And the complex detail here we're talking about is the stairs, the floating treads that meet this wall. And I'll show you a better view of in a moment. I'm not going to lie, this image is actually of the tilers working out the tile layout in what was a large living kitchen and dining area, but it still illustrates the point. Even the simplest things require some thought and consideration. And of course, the more complex requires a lot more consideration. And we know complexity equals dollars. This is a bit of the process, the intricate process required to complete these floating treads, meaning our plaster wall. So from left to right, you can see our plaster beads set up, cut in all nicely with 2 to 3 mil gaps between each tread to meet our wall. Our middle image is showing some of the plaster troweling, and we can see this tearaway bead that the plaster is used to trowel up to. Then our third image is pretty much the end of the troweling, though then needing these tearaway beads torn off and some finessing and sanding done. And we're really only looking at the intricate detail of the finish here. And there was a lot more going on within the stud wall when setting out these floating treads. And of course, then painting the wall and sealing the timber treads also required some solid attention to detail. But the result is a beautiful set of stairs. So I'm not saying don't do anything difficult or custom, just choose your moments and use them where they add the most value and work with professionals to understand what's involved, especially the costs when trying to build cost effectively. And C is budget for areas that deliver real value, and that is your building fabric. Now, this could be a whole presentation in itself. Investing in your building fabric is money well spent, and include within that exceptional insulation, and consult with the appropriate professionals to determine what this is for your specific project. A vapor permeable membrane with a ventilated cavity. You can see we've got that here. So when we do horizontal battens, we do counter batten it out. So we have that airflow cavity within. Gone are the days of foil sarking that trap moisture within wall systems, especially now with the emphasis on insulation and to meet our 7-star compliance. And purchase the best windows that you can afford. Windows are a hole in your insulation and therefore will always be the weakest part of your home's building fabric, no matter how good they are. A couple of other quick tips for value for money. The cheapest way to cool yourself is with ceiling fans. A ceiling fan on low can make you feel 4 degrees cooler in summer. We love to use them. Floors, always invest in good and durable flooring. I'd recommend exposed concrete or solid timber floors, and invest well on heating in Melbourne, especially winters like this. The bee's knees of heating, in my humble opinion, and many of our clients, is in-slab hydronic heating powered by an electric heat pump, of course. Unfortunately, the electric hydronic system can be prohibitive in large spaces if you're installing wall panels opposed to in slab. And a quick comparison on the electric system versus the gas system is that the electric system is more costly to install, though with the right solar PV setup, you can heat your home for free. And again, it comes back to that equation of upfront costs versus lifetime value. And if you don't go down the path of hydronic heating, we'd recommend reverse cycle, which is quite cost effective and of course also cools your home and runs quite efficiently. Of course, no gas. It's too expensive these days and too nasty. And so that is a crash course on material and scope of work selection. So strategy number 4 is engage a design and build firm, or at least engage a builder early. If there is one move you make to ensure your project is a success, make this it. Now, it doesn't escape me how biased I may sound while being a builder, speaking about how a builder can add value to the pre-construction process, though I wholeheartedly believe it. And isn't it obvious? Designing a home without input from a builder is like planning a road trip without checking the map. You will likely get lost. Builders bring real world experience to the table, and a builder won't last very long unless they are pragmatic. A builder makes a living by turning theory into reality. Now, you can get a builder involved during pre-construction in one of two ways. You can either engage a builder early in the design process to work with your design team, and this is generally under an ECI or early contractor involvement agreement, or my recommendation, engage a design and build firm like SHM to look after the entire design and build process under one roof. The top 3 benefits of engaging a builder early during design to work with your designer under an ECI agreement are that you get early cost clarity. So a builder provides a realistic cost estimate early in the design phase, helping you understand what's achievable before progressing too far with your design. You'll also be able to make smarter design decisions. Builders bring buildability to the table and can provide insight on materials that you may be considering, which will help you and your design team make practical choices. And this can all avoid costly design amendments later on. This happens far too often when people go straight to an architect or designer and don't engage a builder early. And I can't imagine there's much worse than spending months or even years in the design process to learn too late that what has been designed is over budget and at best requires costly and time-consuming redesign. So having a builder working with you can avoid this painful situation. A quick disclaimer is that not all builders are equipped to consult with clients and design teams like this, though many are adding this string to their bow. And please don't give your design to a builder and ask them how much it will cost without engaging them properly. 99 times out of 100, that builder will not spend the time needed to understand the project enough to give you an accurate number, which will result in you being led up the garden path to disaster. And honestly, at SHM, we used to do this in the early days. Someone would send us their plans. We were eager for work. We'd spend a little bit of time on it, and give them a price. But we didn't know enough about the project, and we probably weren't experienced enough either. So you engage an experienced builder early and get this advice right. At SHM, we've been consulting and value managing our own designs and others with great success for many years, and we do offer this service for selective design projects only. But why work with a design and build firm? So design and build firms offer an integrated approach with design and construction under the one roof. And SHM has been designing and building new homes and extensions since 2016 after working with external architects and designers for many years. And the top 3 benefits we see of the design and build approach are it's a single point of accountability. You deal with one team for both design and construction, and this reduces the friction miscommunication, and finger pointing between designer and builder if issues arise. You get aligned budget and vision early. So with design and construction under the one roof, the team works to your budget from the beginning and reducing the risk greatly of designing something that you can't afford. And ultimately, it's a smoother project experience because there's no external handover between design and construction firms. The process is much more seamless. It's the same team involved from first concept through to a final handover of your keys. So if you're serious about your new home or renovation actually getting built, you must use one of these two methods and avoid the horror stories of finding out too late that your dream sustainable home isn't feasible. So there you have it. Our 4 cost-effective design strategies to build on budget. And so another quick poll is, what strategy feels most relevant to your situation? Is it keep it simple? Is it reduce the footprint? Is it specify smarter? Is it engage a design and build firm or builder early? Or is it all of the above? And we do have one more for you, which we'll throw up, is which option is the most practical to you in your situation? Is it engage a design and build firm? Is it engage a designer, then a builder under an ECI agreement? Or is it design now and worry about building later? I like to live on the edge. So sorry, Nisha, I might have rushed through them, but
That's all right. Looks like we've got a very clear winner for what strategy feels most relevant, and that's all of the above. So let's
good
get
eye.
that one on, which sounds right. And then, well, let these ones come through.
Lovely. I'll let you get those results and I'll move along. So that rounds out our presentation for today. I really, really hope you found that of value. And before we do go to questions, we do have an exclusive offer that aligns with what you've learned today. So for those of you that are interested and ready to qualify before June 30, we're offering a complimentary feasibility consultation. This is valued at $500 and is ultimately a precursor to more design, concept design and the like. This includes a feasibility design sketch of your project on your block, a preliminary pricing based on your scope and goals, and is ultimately an opportunity to explore what's possible with your project without the guesswork. So to qualify, you can scan this QR code and complete the questionnaire, and the team will be in touch. And we'll also email this information, including the link to you afterwards. So yes, again, the offer ends June 30 and spots are limited. How'd you go on that last poll, Nisha?
Yeah, so it looks like it's about 60-40 to engage a design and build firm and engage a designer under ECI. And no one likes to live on the edge, Simon. We've
Oh,
got
good. I'm
we've got no
glad.
got
I'm
no
glad
votes
to
for
hear
that.
it's not worth it. It's too risky. All right. All right, we'll move along to anybody got any questions on any of that?
Yes, we do have some questions. So our first question is from Gavin, and it's how small is too small for a bedroom with a queen size bed when trying to reduce the footprint?
Oh, geez, that's a good question.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know it off the top. I could find out for Gavin for sure. Maybe we will, Nisha. We'll have Kate, our head of design, would be able to answer that. But I'm um I'm not a head of design, so I can't answer that. I'm sorry, but we will
that's
get that answer across to
cool.
Gavin.
And we've got another one here from an anonymous attendee. Is there value in involving a quantity surveyor?
Yes, that's a good question. Um, I'd s- um, okay, this is a careful one. I want to be careful about it. We've had quantity surveyors. I'd sort of say yes, but at the same time, quantity surveyors don't do the work. So if it's anything out of the ordinary, they can be way off. We've seen that they've been almost 100% off in rare occasions. They can also be very accurate. I'd just be careful about it, but I don't see any reason why you wouldn't engage a builder, understanding that not all builders offer it. Engaging a builder early doesn't mean that you need to move ahead with them, but I think engaging a builder with experience doing a project similar to yours is a much surer bet that you've got a more correct and accurate answer. And I mean, when we do it, it's a full bill of quantities with, we even build out specs, even if it's not built out. So we like to estimate at concept stage, and at that point, there's often not a lot that's resolved. And we sort of take the onus and specify an item as a starting point. And at least at that point, you can say no, yes or no, whether that item you want in or out, or whether the budget's enough. Hope that answers that.
Brilliant. Okay. And I've got another one here from an anonymous attendee, and it's, can you give an example of hidden complexities that might blow out the costs if not caught too early?
Yes, yes. So there is a lot of hidden complexities in a design. Okay, what I don't want to pick on designers or architects, but we've had a few scenarios where ultimately what was presumed on site wasn't the reality on site. And I think getting a builder involved early and can also guide you on this is especially for renovations and extensions, more critical for, of course. Um, yeah, so getting a builder involved early can recommend and guide you through some of those reports and investigations to do, such as sewer and storm water is often a big one. One big miss we had years ago is an architect thought a wall was a brick wall on boundary, it was a terrace home, and it wasn't. It was an old weatherboard wall, and so the whole wall needed to be built down, and we needed to install a firewall. So that was a big variation to the client that I mean, it can still get missed, but yeah, it could have been avoided had a builder been involved early.
Okay, great. And I've got another one here from Megan, and it's, what are you finding your clients are consistently wanting in terms of sustainability? E.g., is it more about materials, smart design, or energy efficiency?
Material smart design, energy efficiency. Yeah, it's probably a mixture of both. There is sort of some clients love energy energy efficiency. I think we all want that at the moment, just because of energy bills. Everybody wants a comfortable home. I think that's the baseline, and that also equals energy efficiency. And then materials. I think people want to be sensibly responsible about materials. Not go overboard with um, sustainable materials, but we do want to, of course, we love using recycled bricks, and we do love using WeatherTex, which is a great sustainability product, and Colorbond is also a great and durable, low maintenance, lower embodied over its lifetime product to be used. So they're the general trends that we're seeing.
Okay, cool. What are some of the most cost-effective materials or systems you're seeing used right now, that still meet your sustainability goals?
Hmm. Yes. So, um, yeah, I mean, there's lots. We don't go to the point of SIPs or any of those panel systems. We like to build typical construction. We love building 140 walls. It gives us much more insulation. Of course, ventilator cavity with the, I'll give a shout out to Proclima, the vapor permeable membrane, which just caters for a healthy wall system. So you got this really solidly insulated wall. You got this ventilated cavity, which allows moisture to expel out and also um, keep out keep the insulation from being wind washed, but also allows a breeze up the ventilated cavity to dry out any moisture that does escape through the wall system.
Oh, and then I've got one here from Dan. Um, should we design from the inside out with the finished product in mind, or from the outside in, often town planning considerations? That's in brackets.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say it really depends on uh, your goals, really. I mean, I love design. So, I mean, I think you want to be really thoughtful in the designs that come out and how you use spaces. So, I mean, that sort of lends itself to inside out. I've never really considered that concept too much, but I think I lean towards inside out. Um, and it can obviously be a bit painful when you're trying to determine uses of spaces preemptively when you need to sit in planning for months, even some even longer, which can be painful. So, yeah, I'd probably lean towards inside out.
Cool. And this is another anonymous one. Is there a particular mistake you see clients making again and again when it comes to planning or budgeting for their custom home?
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, I think time and time again, it comes back to not involving a builder early. We get involved, even as SHM, we do, as I said, take on select projects that clients have worked with a design team on. The perfect place to get a builder involved is when you're satisfied, generally like 90% or more, satisfied with a concept design. Get a builder involved at that point, engaged at that point to provide a concept estimate. And again, we would build out a spec and a full recommendation and even value manage at that point as well. And then you're just geared up to just proceed with confidence throughout the design process, whether it's through planning or not. We've got a number of our current clients with designs from other designers that have come to us after town planning. Um, it's still okay, but we've just had one that we're working with under ECI at the after town planning, and we've had to value manage, and now it's got to go back to planning. So if we were involved prior to planning, it would have saved them, tens of thousands, probably 10,000 or more dollars and months in town planning, because they just do it once and do it properly. So that's the biggest pitfall I see is that people apprehensive, and I get it. A lot of builders aren't prepared to provide value at that stage, but many in my work network and Sustainable Builders Alliance are. So I'd certainly recommend ourselves and any builders there.
Cool. And a final one here. If you're already partway through the design process and realize your budget is off track, what is the best way to course correct?
Yeah, engage a builder that can provide value management options and recommendations, and ultimately work with them. There's plenty of refinement required. That should work. Um, it does depend. We've had some that are just an impossibility, but we can typically reduce cost by 20% by um, adapting the spec and scope and other sorts of things and finishes. And there's lots of sort of levers, I suppose, we can pull. So I'd say work with a builder to understand what levers can be pulled and what recommendations they suggest, and go forward with that way.
Oh, and then I've just got a final one here for you.
Righto.
How much of a contingency should people realistically allow for their budgets, especially given today's market?
Yes. Depending on the complexity of your project, renovation extensions, sorry, a little more. I'd say around the 10% is typical. Um, yeah, yeah, there are exceptions. There are exceptions where sort of things go quite pear-shaped. Where we had a project recently which after part demolition, the existing front two rooms of the home, just the footings just gave way. We were completely compromised. So the order there, that was a big variation that resulted in us completely rebuilding the home. So that's an anomaly. And that's probably it's not quite in the 20% range, but um, yeah, I think 10% you should be comfortable. New homes, perhaps not quite as much. I hope that helps.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Okay, cool. There is a bunch more questions here, but I have taken note of them all and I can
Yep.
get back to them individually after this.
Yep. Sounds good, Nisha. Lovely. All right. Well, that is all for today. I really, really hope people benefited from this, and I really hope my advice um, and this presentation sinks in. Um, yeah, really appreciate you joining us. If you want to know more, here's our contact details, information, our email, of course, Instagram. Can't go anywhere without Instagram now. And there is that QR code if you're ready to take the next steps and take take us up on the complimentary feasibility consultation. So thanks again. Until next time, we'll see you next time. And keep an eye out for an email from Nisha and the team with this recording and the opportunity for the complimentary feasibility. Thanks again.